Hi, I'm Kamal Fisher, and you're watching the Sequire Spotlight, brought to you by Shrax Inc. I am the Vice President of Platform Services for Sequire, but also the host of this show that brings you the up-to-date market news, current trends, and of course, a lot of intelligence around it too. With me, I have Matt Nicosia from Vivakor Inc. He is the CEO. Matt Nicosia, welcome so much to the show. Looking forward to having a great talk with you today.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to it as well.
Awesome. So, of course, we've just come out of earnings season. We're very keen to hear, first and foremost, a recap of who Vivakor is, what they do, just to remind our audience of the wonderful clean tech space you're in.
Excellent. Well, Vivakor itself is a socially responsible acquirer, developer of clean energy solutions, environmental responsibility cleanup scenarios. We are focused mainly on how we can take a natural resource that is considered a waste product, such as oil that's been stuck into soil and water and other types of medias, extract those natural resources and make both we'll call it the fuel source, such as hydrocarbons, usable, and then the soil itself. And we are continuing to grow, and we look at those waste projects around the world and how can we make those part of the new future of infrastructure in our new world.
Wonderful. Definitely a great initiative. You know, with the macro level and the market being affected on so many different levels, given the geopolitical environment, how will the war in the Ukraine and Russia affect the cleanliness of technology, the soil, etc.? Can you talk more about that? And is there an opportunity for Vivakor to actually move into that space when the time is right?
You hit it 100% on the head. We're cleaning up still from the previous biggest war the world had, the Iraqi invasion of Kuwait. So yes, what's going on in Ukraine, they've already targeted specific oil reserves and have spilled them. So we can go in afterwards and we can clean up the oil, separate it from the soil, make both usable. And I will say this, the current opportunity for Vivakor, not just to clean up the invasions, but the end product which we sell happens to be a hydrocarbon-based product. So we are benefiting from higher oil prices, unfortunately, due to some of the things that are happening in Ukraine and Russia, but just the current administrations and its objective on clean energy and focusing on the reduced drilling and production in the United States, we've been a beneficiary of that because we take waste products, such as what we'll see in Ukraine, what's in the US, and for example, also what's in Iraq from the 30 years ago war, we clean that and make that usable. So right now is a great opportunity for Vivakor, and we look forward to the opportunity going into Ukraine in the future to clean up those disasters which have happened from this war.
Wonderful. Really a fantastic opportunity all around, it seems, and definitely a very much needed task to be undertaken in the world today. Let's jump into the recent earnings call that you guys did. Will you just give us a roundup of what that looked like?
Sure. The company just went public 3 weeks ago on NASDAQ. So the company did raise about just over $8 million in capital in the NASDAQ raise. Pro forma balance sheets, the company's got a significant shareholder equity. We expect, obviously, we do have our annual numbers coming out next at the end of this month. But from what we did with the uplisting to NASDAQ, we had a very phenomenal year last year. A lot of excitement. We're going to talk about that when our 10Ks are filed in the next couple of weeks. But from the actual uplist to NASDAQ, we increased our shareholder equity, we increased cash positions, and we look forward to having a strong year this year between our projects both in Utah, our projects in Kuwait, and our expansion projects, which we hope to be shortly in areas such as Houston, Dallas, and so forth. So from a company standpoint, obviously we're still in a growth phase, but we're continuing to build shareholder equity and continue to build our balance sheet to take advantage of these opportunities in the future.
Excellent. So I'll just shed some light on the close for 3/14. That's March 14th, and VIVK closed at $6.36 a share with a 30-day average volume of 287,000 shares. On the downside, the stock would have strong support at the 52-week low of 213, and on the upside, sellers should emerge around the $3 level. Would this be a fair assumption or amalgamation of the data out there?
That is correct as far as the data is concerned. Now, if you look at the balance sheet, which we filed in the NASDAQ listing, we still have a higher shareholder equity than the current entire market cap. We believe it's a buying opportunity. And if you look at some of the filings I myself purchased the past couple of weeks, we do believe that we are definitely affected by the war in Ukraine, the market sentiment and insecurity of investors. When we did come out to NASDAQ, we do believe the downturn happened because of the market itself not really understanding fully what we do and how we can affect the new world. So we see it as a buying opportunity right now. We believe we're undervalued, principally because our shareholder equity is higher than the current market cap. So there's a lot of opportunity in what we're doing here at Vivakor, but that is correct information. We hope to see as more information, including what we're doing here with you with Sequire, actually allows that information to be spread on the opportunity which the technology at Vivakor has and what it can affect on the earth.
100%, yeah. And, with Sequire, we love the fact that we can offer that transparency and offer you the tools to keep engaging with these retail shareholders. Of course, is a different method to follow on the institutional side. Now that you're NASDAQ, I'm sure there'd be a very strong push behind that. But yeah, just to reiterate that with the Sequire platform, we do focus most of our outreach for Sequire shareholder retention for our issuers. So do stay in touch with us so we can make sure that we get those done for you. So on just to move forward and tell us, what do you believe your company's strengths were given this last quarter?
Yes. Well, the strengths we've built primarily happen to be with our shareholder equity. We have a very strong balance sheet, both in the combination of cash and cash equivalents to our property, plant, and equipment. We have some very valuable intellectual property. All those bring forth what we believe enhances the opportunity to build as a NASDAQ entity. The technology itself, it is patented, which we spent the past couple of years pre-COVID, which COVID did cause a downturn or a halt in most of our activities, because our activities were dealing with countries around the world and domestic opportunities. Now that has kind of subsided. We're seeing a lot of action now into pushing forward the assets which we already have on our balance sheet and what those turn into as far as revenues in the future. We have a remediation processing centers, which we call our patented systems, that separate the oil from soil, make both usable, that's a very important key piece. Competitors, and first time this has actually happened is when you can make both usable. Majority of the time, either the hydrocarbons are recovered or the soil is, but not both. This is a huge paradigm shift in remediation because you can create multiple revenue streams from both the hydrocarbons and the soil or the end product itself. So as we expand on the current assets which we have on the balance sheet, the project in Utah, which we just announced last week, we secured a 10-year supply agreement for material. That means we have north of, for the next 10 years, we've got north of $20 million a year in potential revenues from that supply source, just in a hydrocarbon-based material, which we can now sell and commercialize. Now you add that, and keep in mind, that is already in place. We do have to build some more of our remediation processing centers, 3 more in fact, to fulfill all that. But we have one system there right now, which we believe one system will do 6 to 7 million with new current pricing of the end products, such as oil itself, as well as we're finding some really neat things in the sand. Those are great assets which will continue to push forth throughout the future. Keep in mind, these systems have a 20-year useful life. We also have a system in Kuwait, which we hope to have up operating shortly. That system has already been with the company. Due to COVID, we had to shut it down. Hopefully it's going to operate shortly now that COVID's starting to open up in the Middle East. And, which we've already have it, and from a financial structure, we have another system already paid for and built, which should be deployed shortly. That system as well can add another 6 to 7 million in top line revenue on an annual basis to the company. So just the current balance sheet structure of actual property, plant, and equipment has the opportunity to bring in 10 to as much as 16 million in revenue over the next on an annual basis. Hopefully by the end of the year, we'll be at that ratio with another 4 million in EBITDA attributed just to the company's balance sheet. Now we're going to continue to build on these balance sheet assets. We're going to continue to add more of these remediation processing centers and deploy them to these projects and maximize the opportunity we have to clean up throughout the world, and specifically in the projects which we have. So we're very excited about where the opportunity is, but getting that information out there, having everyone understand that these are long-term projects. They're not short-term. Long-term projects, long-term takeoffs, which mean cleaning up the environment, means long-term cash flow opportunities, as well as maximization of our assets on our balance sheet. So the very exciting highlights from the company in its current situation.
Wonderful. That was a great roundup of, just a company with strong fundamentals and then also doing amazing things for the environment. As I mentioned earlier, so needed right now. What would you like to give? I know you spent a whole lot of time speaking about very valuable points, but if you had to, break that down into 3 key takeaways, what would that be for everyone that's watching?
Thank you. I would say the 3 takeaways are: number 1, the technology which we have is the first to make both soil and oil usable. We can take any amount of soil contamination. So if you look throughout the world and you see brownfields or these landfills that have hydrocarbon waste, with our technology that is no longer even needed. We can eliminate landfills and spill waste. We can restore land throughout the world, which is very exciting, and receive a significant fee for cleaning and or doing that. Secondarily, these are all built through a closed loop continuous feed system that actually we believe long term will be certified as low carbon production. That means now you have products that really do help improve the environment. We do believe this fits significantly with those ESG initiatives. So those are 2 key points. The third key point, which I would keep in mind, is watch how in the future, how we deploy these remediation processing centers. Each one that's deployed has a 20-year useful life. So it's not a 2 or 3 year. Think of that as long-term usability of these systems. And they're put on properties. They're put on projects that are long-term projects. That allows us to have strength, allows us to have the long-term usability of the equipment, but most importantly, creates a shareholder value as the systems have that 20-year useful life. But with inflation, with ESG initiatives, we can take advantage of all those pieces, creating ultimately, we believe, as much as $5 to $6 million per remediation processing center in potential long-term EBITDA on an annual basis. So there's some really exciting things that are going to happen, and I would tag our execution to deployment of these systems and how they view long-term. So we think those are the 3 key pieces rounding out the opportunity here at Vivakor.
Excellent, thank you. Matt, why clean tech and why Vivakor? Can you tell us a little bit about your background and why you find yourself in this space?
Thank you. So years ago, I was involved I'm a serial entrepreneur to a certain aspect. I've been involved in creating both technology companies. I've been involved in nanomaterial companies. I did take a company which was in the dermatology sector to significant build and revenues, and then was exited. Then afterwards, I was involved in how do I invest and how do I apply my expertise or the ability to take an idea from conception to complete commercialization. When I was involved in Vivakor initially as an investor, I saw the amount of technologies they had. And then I took over in 2011 and said, I want to focus specifically on technologies that can improve the length and the value of the earth itself. So Viva, meaning the life of the earth, and the technologies developed are at our core. And we believe that from this is way before ESG initiatives. We just felt that there is an opportunity for free market opportunities with smart technological advances to maximize value of a natural resource without destroying the environment. In fact, improving it. We've been at this initiative for about, I'd say significantly for 8 years, and we've taken it from conception to complete commercialization. And that is what's been exciting. That's why Vivakor, why I got involved, and why I will stay involved, because it actually does accomplish what I believe at my core is the free market opportunity enterprise has the ability to execute on technologies that can be both beneficial for the shareholder, for the investor, as well as the environment.
Excellent. Please direct our viewers and potentially investors to find more information on Vivakor.
Yes, please go to our website, vivakor.com. That's VIVA, like Viva Las Vegas, VIVAKOR.com. And also follow us on Facebook. You can see us on Twitter. You'll see us on LinkedIn. We keep our information. We make sure we transmit as much as we can to the investor to make them be aware. And once again, follow us, be involved, get on our newsletter list, and we'll make sure that they're up to date with all the exciting things happen as we improve the length of the earth through technology.
Excellent. You can also find this interview on the microcaps.com site. Again, I'm Carmel Fisher, the host of Sequire Spotlight. Matt, thank you so much from Vivakor, signing out.